guys, I'm Cara and this video is going to be my January 2021 book unhaul. So I have 30, oh god, I just counted them, I think 31 books to talk to you about today. I'll recount them at the end and just check. And as you can see, unlike my last video, I now have my shelves up. Not all of them are painted at the moment, but all of my books are out of boxes, out of where they were being stored, and I've had a chance to really look through all of them and decide which ones I want to keep, which ones I want to get rid of. And I've sort of split them into categories. So the first category is books that I read a really long time ago when I was a kid and I was keeping because I was like, oh, you know, they made a really big impact on me as a kid and I really enjoyed them, but I really don't need to keep them and they're taking up valuable wall space and I think that someone else could really enjoy these, so I'm going to be donating them to my local charity shop when those decide to reopen. So that's these books right here. So I've got 5 books to talk to you about in this stack, so let's just get into them. So the first book is Shadowmancer by G.P. Taylor. Now this book I loved when I first read it. I must have read it, God, when did I mean, probably in secondary school, very early secondary school, but could I tell you a thing about this now? No. So, I mean, it's still got the sticker on it from when I got it from Oxfam, and like, yeah, I'm never going to reread it, and you know, maybe someone else would really like this if they picked it up, so I'm just going to donate that to the charity shop. So the second book I've got is Ravenwood by Andrew Peters. So this one I really loved and I think that someone else could really love it too. I remember a lot about the plot of this one, it's really stuck in my mind. But if I want to reread this, I can always get the Kindle version, I can always check out the audiobook. And so this one is based on a sort of society that live at the top of these incredibly tall trees, and it's about a mechanic and his sort of adventures, and I really enjoyed this when I was younger, but I'm just too old for it now. But I really loved it, so I would still highly recommend this for younger readers. But yeah, it'll be going to someone else where it'll be read more than it has with me. So the next book I have to talk about is Beauty by Sarah Pinborough. Now again, I really enjoyed this when I read it. It's a fairy tale retelling including quite a lot of the different fairy tale characters. This one mainly centering around Sleeping Beauty. I thought it was really interesting when I read it, but I think that probably a lot of the appeal to me when I read this was the fact that the characters were getting into relationships, including sexual relationships, and it was probably one of the first times I'd read about that in a book, so it's probably why it stuck out to me in my head. I don't know if I would enjoy this the same way if I reread it today, so yeah, I'm just going to donate this to the charity shop. I think that it might still hold up. I just don't know. It's been so long since I read this, so I just don't need to keep it anymore, and that is going on the unhaul pile. So the next book I have to talk about is The Blue Roan Child by Jameson Finley. Now, I really enjoyed this when I read it. It's about a girl who she works in a stable, and in this stable there is this sort of wild mare and her foal, and the foal gets stolen one night, and she travels with the wild mare in order to find her foal again. And I think that it's a very, very fun adventure story. I really enjoyed it when I read it, but I think that it's not going to get reread by me. It's very young, and I think that someone in their early teens would really enjoy this, so I'm going to donate this to the charity shop, and hopefully it will get more use there than it will with me. Unhaul pile. And I think very similar to the rest of them is Whispering to Witches by Anna Dale. Is that L or Z? well, it looks like a L. Anyway, I really enjoyed this one. I read this when I was younger. Could I tell you a thing about the plot now? Probably not. And yeah, I think that it's not getting read here, and I think that someone else could really enjoy this, so donating this one. So my next stack of books is it's just the two of them, and this is with authors who I've decided that probably their books aren't for me. So both of these are books by Robin Talley. They're young adult queer books that I bought because of the fact that as a queer person myself, I wanted to pick up books. I'll just hold up one. As a queer person myself, I wanted to pick up books that I could relate to in that area of my life, but I think that reading a lot of reviews and hearing a lot of things, I think Robin Talley is probably not the author for me. So Robin Talley tends to write very diverse books, which I think is good, but I think she tends to write very diverse main characters who have diversities who she does not identify with. And I've heard and read a lot of reviews online and seen a lot of people talk about her books, and they basically say that she probably doesn't do enough research in terms of the diversity and minorities that she's representing. She could do with a sensitivity reader or two to try and get it to be more accurate. And I think that if I was going to be reading diverse young adult books, I think that I want to be reading from authors who share their experience with the main character, and also the fact that I've just heard that Robin Talley's books read very young. There tends to be a lot of over-dramatic, over-the-top drama, and that's just not for me. If I maybe had picked this up as an early teenager, I may have enjoyed it. This has sat on my shelf for over a year now, maybe even 2, and I have yet to even try to pick this up, and I think that it could just get read by somebody else, and it could be a book that someone really enjoys, because it's not getting read here. So, the next stack of books I have are all graphic novels. I have 12 here, and the reason I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of these are going to be the same for all of them, so I'll blow through them quickly. Most of these, it's going to be a case of, I read them and I enjoyed them, and could I tell you anything about the plot now? No, and I'm probably not going to reread them. So, there are certain graphic novels that have really, really stuck with me, that really meant a lot to me. Because I read them so fast, I only really keep them if they really make a big impression on me and the story is really stuck with me, which is not the case for any of these. So let's just blow through these. So the first one is This a Zombie? I can't remember anything about this, so it's very pink. My sister got this for me because of the fact that she knows that I like comics, and I liked it a little bit because it had quite a dark undertone, I think. But could I tell you anything about the plot of this one? No. Gonna unhaul that. This one I do remember a bit about, but I bought this at a comic convention because of the fact that I've read a couple of the author's other books. This is Cherry Volume 1, and I read Footloose by the same author, and I loved those, so I wanted to try this. And this didn't really work for me. It had a bit of sort of, not manipulation per se, but like a lot of the plot was driven forward by the main character lying their way through situations, and yeah, I just didn't like this one as much as I liked the first. So, gonna get rid of this. Let's just put these down before I drop them all. So the next two are by the same author. I've got Sirius and I've got Samurai Chef. I thought both of these were really fun. I love the art style of these. I think that's why I decided to keep both of them. I bought these at a comic convention, and I got to meet the authors, which was really nice, but they haven't really stuck with me. I thought the plots were somewhat basic. So if you're really in the mood for a quick, easy, fun graphic novel, I would recommend both of these, but I just don't need to keep them on my shelves. So on to the Unhaul stack they go. And the next one is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, Volume 1, the graphic novel edition. Now, I don't have any of the graphic novel edition for any of the other books in the series. I only have this one, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as reading the physical book. I think that what really shines through in that series is the character development, and just I don't think that it suited the style. It read a lot younger than the original series did, I think, for me, especially as I'm now 26 and those books are not really written for 26-year-olds. However, I do intend to reread the original novels, but I just don't need to keep this version, so that's getting Unhauled as well. The next one is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi, and I enjoyed this one. I read it. I thought that it was a really fascinating look at culture that is very different to my own, but I'm really a fan of sort of more cutesy art styles, and this is very sort of like, I would say almost like newspaper comic style art, and I think that it's really interesting, and I think it could do a lot for representation in the right hand, but it's not going to get reread by me, and so I'm going to be unhauling this one. And I might as well just talk about the last 6 of these all in one go. These are all comics that I read a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed this, I'm going to put this on my shelf. Could I tell you a thing about them now? No. So I've got Misplaced, Archangels Volume 1, Fool's Gold Volume 1, Snow Volume 1, Sorcerer's Secretaries Volume 1, and Horimiya Volume 1. And I don't really tend to spend a lot on graphic novels. I think brand new they could be very, very expensive. So most of the comics and graphic novels that I buy are just from charity shops where I see them for £1 and I just pick them up because I read them so fast. So a lot of the time I'll pick something up without knowing the plot of it, and it isn't really my thing, so I just donate them back to the charity shop I bought them from, which is probably the case for most of those. So the next 2 could probably have gone in the previous stack, but they are Twilight, the graphic novel, oh that's Volume 2, I should put Volume 1, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I like Twilight meant a lot to me when I was younger. I really enjoyed the series. I think it got a lot of me and my friends reading something collectively, but I would definitely not like it now, and I am very aware of some of the very harmful representation that those books have, the harmful representation of Indigenous communities and just relationships in general, so I don't want these on my shelves. I'm not going to reread them, and yeah, they're going. I don't know why I didn't unhaul them when I unhauled the rest of my Twilight collection, but they're going now. So the next selection are books that I read fairly recently and I enjoyed them, but I'm never going to reread them and I just don't need a copy of them taking up valuable shelf space. So the first of those is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, and I really enjoyed this when I read it. I think that this is an excellent depiction of mental health in young people and seeking help for mental health, and I think that it has done a heck of a lot of good, but it just read quite young to me, and I think that it could really do some real good in the hands of a younger teenager, so I'm going to donate that to a charity shop. The next one is from an author that I really enjoy their books from, but this one I just didn't enjoy as much, and that is Release by Patrick Ness. This one doesn't have the dust jacket because of the fact that I bought it second hand. Now, with this one, there are 2 interweaving plot lines. One of them I really enjoyed, and one of them I thought made no sense. And I think that it was almost in the style of like a Sean David Hutchinson book, but I think that those books do that sort of style of storytelling a lot better than this one did, unfortunately. I still intend to keep and read all the other Patrick Ness I've got on my shelves, but yeah, this one didn't enjoy as much, gonna unhaul it. So the next one pays me a little bit because I did get it in a book subscription box, and it is signed by the author, and that is Jinxed by Amy McCulloch, and I really enjoyed this one. I think that you don't often see YA novels with main characters who are passionate about STEM subjects and wanting to get into the sciences and engineering, and I think that this will do a lot of good there. And I really enjoyed the reading experience, but yeah, it just reads quite young to me, and I think that some young teenagers are probably going to be really excited to see something like this in a charity shop. And I still have the other merchandise that came with it when I bought it. I've got a mug that holds all my bookmarks on my shelves, which is this one, which I just think is lovely. But yeah, I mean, this can stay on my shelf and I can unhaul this, because I'm definitely not reading it again. So the next one is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Now, I read this when everyone else was reading it. I really enjoyed it. I did carry on with the series and read the full trilogy, but I thought that, like, for me, the second book felt like a repeat of the first book, and the third book I just slogged through. I really hated that one. This one I did really enjoy for what it was. I also recognise that it's got a pretty identical plotline to Battle Royale, and I think I'm just going to reread that instead of keeping this one around. And yeah, I will probably give it to a charity shop which has about 10 copies of this. So the next one I'm unhauling is my bind up of the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, I do enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia. I would say that The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and The Horse and His Boy are my two favourites. And you may say, oh, Cara, you got these out of order. These are the order that they were published in, and I think it makes the most sense to read it in that order. I think that the plots make the most sense in that way. But I think other than those, I found the rest of them pretty much just okay. And I think eventually I'd like to own the Barnes & Noble special edition of this bind up. And I'm not going to reread these anytime soon, so I'm going to be donating these, and hopefully a kid who may be new to this book series will pick it up and really enjoy it. But for now, on to the stack. When they're all stacked up like this, they look a lot more than when I sort of pulled them off the shelves, but at least that's more book space, I suppose. And one book that I completely forgot to talk about because it was downstairs is Queer, A Graphic History by Meg John Barker and Jules Scheel. Now, this book, unfortunately, just didn't work for me. So yeah, that's heading off my shelves as well. So I left the sort of more controversial ones, I guess, till last. The second to last being The Binding by Bridget Collins. Now, this book is gorgeous. I love the front cover. It's got wonderful end pages. The naked hardcover is also absolutely gorgeous. And I'm quite conflicted about getting rid of this one, but it did get 3 stars, and I don't keep books on my shelves that got any less than 4, really, unless it's a book where I plan to carry on with the series. And this did not get 3 stars because I found it mediocre, but I settled on the 3 stars because of the fact that in terms of the plot line, most of the plot I would say got 5 stars. I loved the characters, I loved the relationship, I loved the concept. I just loved so much of this, and I was so engaged the whole time. However, there was one plot line which I would give 1 star to, and unfortunately, if that plot line was removed, you would not have a book. And I think that a sensitivity reader could have really done with pointing that out to the author. And so mild spoilers for this, in case, like, if you want to go into this book and you want to go in completely blind, maybe while my hand is up, then just skip ahead. So basically, this book has a gay main character, and the plot basically used him being gay as a plot device and as a spoiler. And I think that sexuality is part of someone's identity. I think that sexuality, I think that gender, I think that race, ethnicity, those things should not be the big spoiler at the end of the book. They should not be used as plot twists, and this is what that did, and just, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. And the longer I go away from it, the more angry about it I get, especially because I enjoyed so much else. I will pick up more by Bridget Collins in the future because I really did enjoy the writing of this, but I really hope that she does change that about her books in the future. So yeah, this one is being unhauled as well. So the very last book I've got to talk to you about is Very Good Lives by... that definitely looks like a J. But, Very Good Lives by J.K. Rowling. So I think that it's been no secret over the past couple of months that J.K. Rowling has become increasingly hateful towards minority groups and spreading a lot of misinformation and very harmful stereotypes and comments across her platform. Reggie, do you have to do that right now? Okay, ignore my dog in the background. And I think that I've really had to think about whether or not I keep her books on my shelves after this, because she's really tainted my image of her. I think with Harry Potter, it was such a big part of my childhood, as it was with many people, that is staying on my shelves, and Harry Potter related books and merchandise are going to stay in my house. I will not be featuring them on my main shelves, but they are going to be staying in my life because I enjoy them so much, and I'm just going to separate out her from her work with that. But I don't want to continue to be buying different books from this author. So this one is the only one I had left. I didn't realise I still had it, and that is going away now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. 33? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34. Well, it seems to come to a different number of books every time I count these, but that is the 34 books that I'll be unhauling for the month of January. And it feels really good to really have cleansed my shelf of a lot of the books that I'm just not going to reread, or I know I'm not actually going to read. So yeah, hopefully that's a lot more space for new books that I'm hopefully going to love. But yeah, I'd love to hear down in the comments below what are any books that you've unhauled recently, or just a book you've read recently and really enjoyed. I'd love to hear about it. But that'll be all from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!